Let's get into the topic tonight. We have our first email question of the evening. This one is from Carlene. How long does it usually take for an injury case to reach a settlement in court? And how do most people manage to keep the medical bill collectors away until everything is decided?
You know, Carlene, that's a great question, and actually it's probably the one question that I hear every single time we meet with a new client, because everybody wants to know, how long is this process going to take? And, you know, in true lawyer fashion, the answer is it depends. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on the severity of your injuries. It depends on the facts involved in the lawsuit. Is it a case where we're dealing with a clear liability situation? You know, somebody rear-ended you while you're stopped in traffic, somebody ran a stop sign or a red light. Or is it one where there's contested liability? You know, it's a he said, she said as to who ran the light or something like that. There's a lot of different factors that can affect how long it takes in terms of your injuries. How long is your treatment going to take? How long is the diagnosis going to take? And then another factor is what's the deal with the insurance? Because in Florida, if you're involved in an auto case, an auto accident, or if you maybe have a slip and fall case against a property owner, most of the time there is insurance involved. There's insurance policies, meaning there's insurance coverage limits. The amount of the limits may have an issue with how long it takes to get resolved. For example, if you have an auto case where there's a relatively small policy limit but a serious injury, those cases tend to resolve fairly quickly because there's not a lot of dispute over the fact that the injury may exceed the value of the claim. There may be cases where the injuries aren't as severe, but maybe you have millions of dollars in coverage and the insurance company is going to do everything they can to try to fight it tooth and nail because they want to hang on to their money as long as possible. And there's no real threat that they're going to, make the wrong decision by not adjusting the claim properly. So, to answer your question, it would really just depend a lot more on the facts of the actual loss. Typically, we set internally, we'd like to see our cases resolved in 3 to 6 months, 9 months at the most. But there's also factors such as access to courts. We're dealing with a global pandemic right now. We're in a situation where we can only have hearings by Zoom, and we have limitations on jury trials that have caused pretty much all of 2020 to be without jury trials because of access reasons because of COVID. So again, I hate to give the true lawyer example, the true lawyer answer of it depends, but it really just does depend. But we try to push them as fast as possible because we know it's important to people. Part two, after that long-winded rant about why they take so long, is what do I do with my medical bills while the process is going on? And Brian, that's a question that we have to deal with a lot of clients. These processes take a long time. A lot of things are out of the lawyer's control. A lot of things are out of the client's control. What are some things that a client could expect if they do have a claim and they do have a medical provider that has a bill that needs to be paid? What are some of the things that having a lawyer involved can help somebody out if that's the situation?
There's a lot of different things that can go on with that, but to get to the simple question, bills can go to collections, but before any of that happens, you need to make sure bills are processed through, if it's an auto accident, the personal injury protection benefits, and then your health insurance, whether it's Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. After it's processed through all of those things, if there is a balance, technically our clients, the person who is injured, is responsible for the balance while the case is pending. Now, some people can afford to pay the bill in full or make payments, but if you can't, then people have that balance resolved out of their settlement. Those things can get sent to collections in the meantime. What we advise our clients is, number one, make payments if you can. Number two, if you have personal injury protection benefits under your auto policy or health insurance, you need to make sure it's processed. I would say once cases are settled, one of the biggest holdups on our clients getting their money is making sure the medical providers process insurance properly. We have a case that settled, I think it was late March, and our client had surgery in March. The surgery center just got the bill processed correctly through the PIP insurance and the health insurance correctly last week. So it took 5.5, 6 months to get the bills properly paid and adjusted. So we know exactly how much our client was responsible for. But with respect to collections, they can go to collections. We tell clients to call the provider. Most people can make $5, $10 a month payments to prevent things from going to collections. And then anything that you pay out of your own pocket can be reimbursed from a settlement.